What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today I want to talk about kind of a controversial gun. I'm going to talk about the brand new Archon Type B. It is a semi-automatic striker-fired pistol with kind of a unique design that makes it a little bit unique in comparison to some of its counterparts. Before I get into the video though, I want to mention the monthly giveaway for my Patreon supporters. This month we're going to be giving away some Peltor range guards, their electronic ear pro. Also, I want to mention ammo.com. They leave a link in the description below for $20 off an order of 200 bucks. So if you want to buy some ammo and help out the channel at the same time, go down there and use that link. I also want to mention we're doing a giveaway on Instagram as well for a Ontario Rat 3 knife. Back to the Archon Type B. I want to give a little history about this gun before I get into the actual review itself. So the Archon Type B is a compact version of the Arsenal Strike 1, which was a controversial gun in itself as well. It originally, the first time I saw that gun, it was being used by the Russian Special Forces in a video that Larry Vickers put up, which is extremely crazy. If you want to go check out an entertaining video about Russian Special Forces, go check that video out. It did well at first, and then it kind of fell off due to lack of production, and then another company bought the rights, and another company bought the rights. And this particular gun, the Archon Type B, has been named several other things in the past before it actually got out of production to the hands of shooters. Other than the history of this gun, what makes it very unique is that it doesn't use a standard Browning tilted barrel design like your standard Glock, M&P, PPQ, that kind of thing. Basically, most of the semi-automatic pistols throughout history. This actually uses a system called the Bergman System, introduced by Bergman Baird. In a little bit here, if I'm lucky, I'll take this gun apart and show you what it looks like. But basically, the Bergman system allows for a more inline chamber to the magazine, which is supposed to increase reliability, and it allows for a lower bore axis, which is supposed to reduce the recoil impulse. And I have to admit, whether the system works great or not, I do like innovation in firearms, so it is unique and cool in its own right. Now it does, if you can see here, have an extremely low bore axis on your hand, but it's not something that I think is absolutely revolutionary. As you can see here, the height between the top of the slide and my hand, when I put it back here, is not really that much different to the Glock 19 that I have here. And I promise you the Glock 19 has been around for quite a while with a very similar bore axis throughout the years. So maybe they got it down with that system maybe a quarter of an inch. The gun itself has a 4.25 inch barrel and it weighs a hefty 29.6 ounces. And for those who are counting, it's one of the heaviest guns in its class. For sure, it's over 6 ounces heavier, according to my scale, than the Glock 19. It actually, I think, is either on par or a little bit heavier than some 1911 commander-sized guns that I have. So that tells you that this guy could go on a diet. Now, another cool feature of this gun is it is dovetailed for Glock sights. So whatever particular sights that you want to put on it, you can accept it, because basically every sight in the market is made for a Glock. However, I don't see a reason to change them because the sights that come on this gun are pretty excellent. The grip texture on this gun is okay. Now, I heard that it did grip mapping technology. I love companies that come out with all these brand new whiz-bang things that they try to say to make their product sound more important. It's very similar texture, in my opinion, to the CZ P10C, except I feel like this is slightly more aggressive than the P10C. Now, one thing I don't really love about it is it doesn't have grip panels or grip inserts to make the handle of the gun, the grip of the gun, bigger. And I know a lot of people think that is just for show, but guys like me in particular, who got these large paws, which I mention in every video, I like a bigger grip to hold on to, and I like a longer reach for my longer trigger finger, right? So I have longer fingers than I think most people do, and if I stick my finger in this grip all the way, I can get up to that first knuckle. I don't really like that. I like to have a little separation, something like, again, to bring back the Glock has, because you can put beaver tail grips and all kinds of stuff on the Glock, making it just much more modular in my opinion. Now, the Glock isn't the most modular as far as that goes. My favorite grip that I think I've ever tried on a polymer gun is probably going to be the HK VP9, because not only do they have the grip inserts on the back, but they also have them on the sides as well to make a little bit of a palm swell, which is really nice. You can also do that with like 1911s and CZs, stuff with removable grips. Now, one of the upgrades that I think from the Strike 1 on the Archon is going to be the trigger. Now, I know Mac from Tim from the Military Arms channel, he had a problem with the trigger heating up, but I didn't see that quite as much. A lot of the time I was shooting this with gloves, I have to admit, because it's cold out here in Iowa now, and I didn't probably feel it as much as I would have if it was warm. Also, I don't think you really notice the heating of the steel trigger until about 200 to 300 rounds in. So I think for most people that's not going to be a problem, although I'm sure it does happen. One thing I like about the trigger is it is improved over the Strike 1, in my opinion, and it's a pretty excellent trigger. I mean, it's a little bit long and a little bit spongy, but it breaks nice and the reset is really, really fast. And that's important for a gun like this because this gun is touted for low recoil impulse, so you're going to want to shoot it fast, and you're not going to be able to shoot it fast without a decently fast trigger. So I'm glad they included that. The magazine release is really nice as well. However, one thing I don't like about that is this upward swing that you see here that they added in, I think just to look cool, honestly. But the problem with that is it will pinch the crap out of your hand if you're not paying attention. I pinched my the little fat on my palm here maybe 5 or 6 times during the testing of this, and I shoot a lot of handguns and I very rarely experience that, so I think this is something that they really should fix. Another really cool thing that they put on the gun is going to be this tendon push thing here. It's supposed to be for pushing your tendon of your hand to make your grip even tighter on the gun. I don't like this. I think this is just silly, in my opinion. There's a reason why you haven't seen it on any other gun. It's not necessarily uncomfortable once you're shooting, but you can feel it a little bit, and I think it's just a gimmick more than anything else. I think that you could get even higher on the gun if this stupid little thing wasn't here. I do like how they undercut the trigger guard though and made the trigger guard a little bit bigger towards the front here. That way it's big enough for glove hands, but it sweeps up enough. Because if you wouldn't have made the trigger guard high enough, it doesn't matter how low the bore axis is. A lot of guns you can get super high on the back of the gun, but you can't get very high on the front of the gun, so it's still kind of rattling around in your hand. I like that they thought about that and they put a lot of effort into it. They also put texturing here on the thumb ramp, whatever you want to call it, the gas pedal, which I like as well because I usually add that to most of my firearms. They put a Picatinny rail on it, which I really like also. Pretty much everybody does that but Glock, and if you get a weapon light and you put the Glock insert in it and try to put on a pick rail, sometimes it doesn't fit, and if you have a pick rail insert and try to put on a Glock, sometimes it doesn't fit. So that's a huge pain in the ass. I like when companies just go with the standard pick rail. Now another thing I really like about the gun is the look. I think it looks cool and I think it looks very unique, and I think it looks mean. I like this cutout on the slide. A lot of people don't like that, but it reminds me of like World War II fighter planes, honestly. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but I really like it. It's very functional to press check like that. A lot of people say that's too tactical, but I like it. If you're going to press check, it's a really common way to do it. The serrations are also very usable. Unlike the Glock, I feel like these are a little bit deeper and it's easier to grasp, which is a good thing because there's not very much slide there. One of the downsides of having a super low bore axis, just like the CZs, is that you don't have much to grab when you're doing malfunction clearing. And that's going to bring me right into malfunctions. So when I first got this gun, I was very disappointed. I even put up a video about this gun saying how disappointed I was because when it showed up, it had a weak striker spring, or a weak spring. They didn't tell me exactly what it was, but I assume it's a striker spring, and the gun would only function about 1 every 2 rounds. So I was very disappointed, but it is a new design. I gave them the option to fix the gun. I sent it back to them. They fixed it within a couple of days, sent it right back to me, and paid for all the shipping and everything, and the guns ran absolutely perfect since then. Somewhere around 800 to 1,000 rounds through this gun since then with 0 malfunctions. Not only that, but I watched Tim from the Military Arms channel's video, The Gauntlet, and it passed with flying colors as well, almost better than any other gun I've ever seen. Is it reliable? I think it is. I really do. Is it the system? Is it the fact that it's so closed off that it doesn't allow dirt and debris in it? That's possible. Is the actual fact that the chamber is closer to the top round of the magazine so it doesn't have to hit the feed ramp as much and you have less of a chance of failure to feeds? Is that a thing? I don't know. This is the only gun that I have. You'd have to have thousands of those to really determine whether this was an actually more reliable gun than current Browning designs. And maybe someday it will be. But as far as I know right now, this one pistol, without that Achilles heel of the striker spring, it has ran absolutely perfect. And it actually almost pisses me off because I shot so many rounds through this to try to see if it would fail, and I shot so many different types of rounds as well to see if it would work with hard primers and things like that. I got to the point where I was shooting like Phoenix reloaded ammo, Freedom Munitions remanufactured ammo, I was shooting Nevada reman, like anything that I could think of to be to cause a malfunction, and it ran everything perfectly. Now accuracy, this is a really accurate pistol, I have to admit. It is very accurate, and I was shocked at how quickly I could land 50-yard shots with this. Headshots were easy at 25 yards, and the speed of this gun in comparison to polymer guns is noticeably better. Yeah, I don't think the recoil impulse, all the action, everything, I really don't think it's a gimmick. I know that I've got some bad things to say in a second, but as far as a shootable gun, is this more shootable than your Glock 19? Could I shoot this faster and more accurate? I think so. Not a crazy amount, but I think it's a little bit faster, it's a little lighter recoil, the trigger from the factory is better, and the sights are better as well. If you took this against a stock Glock, this would beat it, I think.
Holy shit.
The problem I have is that's maybe only 1 or 2 or 3%. And if you add in the fact that this is a compact gun that weighs 30 ounces, it should have less recoil because it's 6 ounces more. And if the heavier the gun is, the less recoil that it has. Add into the fact that it's also $900, and you start to lose the coolness of this gun a little bit. I think that they made it a little bit too heavy to be a compact gun, and I think they made it a little bit too small to be a competition home defense, style plinking gun. Now, could you do that with this? Absolutely. You absolutely could. Could you defend your house with this? I absolutely think you could. But would something like a Glock 34 or a CZ AccuShadow be better?
Yep. Much better.
As you can see here, I have the Glock on stage for a size comparison. It is significantly bigger than the Glock 19. I know when they tell you it's Glock 19 size, that's not true. You can see there it's significantly longer, and it's taller as well, if I get them all matched up here correctly. And they hold the same amount of rounds. So is that a deal breaker? Well, no, there's people who carry full-size 1911s for concealed carry, but for me, I see no particular reason why I would carry a 6-inch or 6-ounce heavier gun that holds the same amount of rounds when I can shoot it very, very similar. This is slightly better, but it's also going to be almost $400 more than any of your average M&Ps, PPQs, VP9s in its class. If you are the type of person that already has a Glock, you already have an HK, you want something unique, you want something different, or you just want to think out of the box, you want to get something that a lot of people don't have, and you want to look cool on the range, and you want to shoot just a hair better, and you don't mind paying the price, this is a perfectly valid option in my opinion. It does everything a handgun should do. It's reliable, it's accurate, it's fast, and the problem I have with it though is, like I said, it's a new design, it's heavy, and it's too expensive. But if you're okay with those things, by all means, go ahead and pick up an Archon Type B. Alright, so the first thing you want to do when you take this pistol down is you're going to eject the magazine, make sure it's all clear and safe. Second thing you're going to want to do is push this pin out, which I've already done because I'm on camera here, and I just tapped it with the magazine real quick. And all you have to do there is pull the slide back slightly, push the pin down, and pull it out the other side. But on my pistol in particular, it's very difficult to do that, so I didn't want to struggle on screen, so I've already done it. Now, pull the trigger there, and the mechanism will slide right off. Now, the real difficult part of the takedown, in my opinion, is getting the spring out. I saw Tim on the Military Arms channel do this super easy. I don't know how many times he actually did it, but this triple layered spring here is actually extremely difficult to remove, in my personal opinion. Now, I think this does lead to some of the lower recoil that you feel, along with the low bore axis. You can see this very unique spring setup here. Another thing I wanted to mention really quick is that this is a chassis system like the SIG P320, so other than having to buy an entire new firearm, you could easily get these lowers if you want to do stippling, or if you wanted to do a trigger job like the trigger undercut or that kind of thing, or even maybe try your luck at some stippling up here. Whatever you want to do, I'm sure these will be available in the future to buy a lot easier than it would be for a standard handgun, because usually this is actually the firearm. So if we're going to take this out for cleaning, what we're going to do is try to pull this recoil spring out here and not get hit in the face, because this back spring here actually is not captured, and it's in there with some serious pressure. And for some reason, mine always gets stuck right here. And maybe it's because I'm a dumbass. I never claimed to be a self-proclaimed internet gun expert like Yankee Marshall. So this spring, I've consistently got it caught here, and I've had to use a little tool and press it out further. Maybe it's because I got weak bitch hands, but yeah, this spring is a huge pain in the ass. One of the times I actually pushed it down like this, back into the thing, pulled the locking block out, and then release the spring. That's actually how I do it, because mine is so difficult to pull out. Now, this is one of the things that you'll see here that makes it unique for this design, is that instead of a traditional Glock barrel, I'll pull that out real quick. As you can see here, this is a Glock barrel, and you can see that locking mechanism there is kind of a part of the barrel, whereas Archon barrel, it's separate. You can also see that the Archon barrel is a good 1/4 inch longer there than your standard Glock 19 barrel. So now that we've got this out here, you can see it fits in here just like that. And that's how it sits inside the gun. And you can see mine does need a little bit of cleaning here, but I am testing these guns, so what do you do? Now if you're gonna put it back together, it's a little bit easier to put back together. Barrel in like this. Make sure it's all fit, make sure it's all good to go. Then you can put in your locking block here, if you're not a dumbass and put it in the wrong way both times. And then I take this whole spring in here like this, ram this baby in, push it down like that, goes back on the gun, like that, pull it back, push the captured pin in, it's good to go. Now before we go, I want to mention the fact that there is a couple of things to justify that $900 price tag, and one of those is the fact that it comes with a large amount of magazines in comparison to most guns. Coming in with 4 magazines I think is pretty impressive in comparison to your average gun that usually comes with around 2. Some guns like a Glock may come with 3, but most come with 2, so you're getting double the magazines, number 1. You're also getting the carry case, which I think is very high quality, and I know a carry case for most people, including myself, is not quite as useful, but a lot of people, if you're going to buy just one gun, it's good to have, and that'll save you $50. The magazine will save you $50 to $100. So there is value there, and you have to remember they're probably trying to recoup R&D costs. Like guns like a Glock, they've recouped that years and years ago. So for a new system and a new design and all the R&D that went into it, $950 if you want this gun, I think is reasonable. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.
All right, go.